Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi Saturday evening with General Ryan. Sorry, guys, my apologies for not being able to make it in the afternoon. Some unavoidable personal chore that had to be done. But we are back. We are going to talk about the deep state of the world. Who are the powers behind the powers? Who are behind the powers? Who are behind the powers? Who are the hidden names that actually run things? And more than that, most importantly, इंडिया के लिए साहब प्लान क्या है? What is the plan for India? What is the game? क्या होने वाला है आपके लिए? What has been charted out for India? Because India is suddenly in a churn. कभी यहाँ, कभी वहाँ, कभी यहाँ, कभी वहाँ, and suddenly कभी आपकी यहाँ डील होती है, कभी वहाँ डील होती है, कभी ये हो रहा है. It's like, आप लगे हुए हो बस टकाटक. I don't think we are able to actually write down the deals before they're being signed, sir. लोग शो ही नहीं
You are
बना
the,
पा रहे.
you are
यूट्यूबर शो
the
ही नहीं बना पा
flavor
रहे.
at the moment of the world. Everybody wants to deal with you and work with
A
you.
lot of YouTubers
And
make
work in
Modi in
that
France, Modi here, Modi there.
आत्मनिर्भर भारत के साथ.
हाँ, वो बेचारे यूएसए का भी खत्म कर नहीं पाए, वो पहली फ्रांस पहुंच गए साहब. So what's happening, sir? Who's the game behind? What is happening, and what are they thinking about India? There are lots of revelations, guys. So
It's a
stay
very
tuned.
interesting thing because we always think that these are the faces who have come up and these are the people who are doing things. No, they themselves are puppets, and there are certain people who would be there behind. So we will look at certain documents that have been released by CIA and it has come out now, and then try to make sense out of all these which have come out as to where it is and what it is and how things function, and then take it from there. Right. So let's start. It begins with the point that who actually, like deep state of the world, their players and their new plan. So you have two, you can see very clearly EU and NATO, and you have George Soros. Are these the players? Are these the deep state? I don't think so. These people don't pull the strings. So let's look at it next. So that's the whole question. Who controls the levers of power? Is it some powerful government, autocrat, or dictator, or within the states you have parties power center? Or is there a deep state that lies beyond the nation states? पीछे से बैठ के अंधेरे में quietly moving things to create the environment where they benefit. That's the basic point which is coming out, that they want to create a global environment where they benefit. So if that be so, who are these people? That leads us to the next slide, which indicates the conspirators hierarchy, written by Dr. John Coleman in 1991. And it is the story of the Committee of 300. Has been released by CIA. It's freely available. If you want to buy, there is a book also. Amazon sells it. Otherwise, it is freely available as a download. CIA has released it, free download. But the interesting part here is CIA has not redacted any page, any place in this uh, book that they have released, which indicates that uh, these people who are the hidden faces feel that releasing of this book may not compromise them. They don't want to get compromised. They want to stay hidden. And so you have the front, like George Soros is there, the National Endowment for Democracy we talk about, EU Parliament is there, NATO is there. These are
The
fronts.
fronts.
Even Obama came and spoke. He's the front. He doesn't control, and that is what is coming out a bit more damaging. Next, yeah. Now, this committee of 300 is nothing new. If you go through the book, this is what he has given out. The chart dates back to the British East India Company and the Dutch East India Company. It goes back that much, and how they controlled China. Some of the entities which he is showing is present today. Royal Institute of International Affairs, better known as Chatham House in UK. Tavistock, existing even today.
Today.
MIT is there. Then you have Brookings, which is there. In India, they have not been able to get their FCRA, so they have changed their name to क्या है वो CSEP, some social
Hmm.
and economic program. Center for Social and Economic Program करके. That's a cover. It's actually a Brookings Institute, India, Hudson Institute, Wharton, Princeton, Harvard, Stanford, Rand, जिसको we keep looking at and keep quoting so many things from there. You have Henry Kissinger also sitting there, right? And you
That's
have
right.
Council on Foreign Relations. हम
CFR.
फॉरेन पॉलिसी
Big
वगैरह
guys.
फॉरेन पॉलिसी वगैरह काफी कोट करके सब्सक्राइब करके उसको पढ़ते हैं. This is from here, Council of Foreign Relations, and
May I
of
say
course UN. Pardon, huh? You were
the
saying
Council
something.
of Foreign Relations has three publications. It's the Foreign Affairs magazine, Foreign Policy, and the third one is National Interest.
National.
These are three publications that come out of here. And as a matter of fact, these guys, without telling Biden, have been talking to the Russians behind Biden's back.
Now you also have the I2S2 of the UK, International
Hmm.
Institute for Strategic Studies. Lot of people quote that they military balance निकालते हैं, ये करते हैं, वो करते हैं. You have the Anti-Defamation League, MI6, English. Why I'm quoting all these English ones? When I do my assessment of who could be the likely considered people who are still part of it, you'll find it interesting. You have UN, which has been created, would have been earlier League of Nations, now the UN, because you know how defunct it is. It
Yeah.
is so clear that the UN itself has some strings which various people pull. Then he gave a hierarchy. At the bottom, where debt slaves, whom he calls, who work for the rich, and which is where they have left Africa, bulk of Asia, and Latin America and the Caribbean.
Caribbean.
You work for them, for the rich to earn money. This is where you are. Then you have world population control. Now, this is very important because some time ago there was a video which had come out about Bill
Bill
Gates
Gates.
himself talking about uh, need for population control because of the increasing population, and he is ascribed a statement that those who don't contribute for the wealth of the globe have no right to live. It's a very telling statement, though yes, it got redacted, and a lot of fact checks came out and said no, 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 he has not said it.
Do you know
But then,
Kamala Harris slipped it out? Instead of saying
yeah,
reduce pollution, she said reduce
reduce
population.
population. But the issue is, who's fact checking the fact checker whether he is doing the thing truthfully?
Yeah.
And the reason I say it, when you look at most of the, like at least through the 80s and 90s, 70s, तो हम फिर भी अभी समझ रहे थे. Through the 80s, 90s, and even till now, how come whole lot of famine, the ravages, the various diseases, exclude COVID, even COVID started in Asia. Everything is starting from somewhere Africa, Asia, and then it goes to Latin America, and When it came into Europe, they bought off all the vaccines of COVID and 3 times over their population and wouldn't share it with the others. कि मरने दो. Then you feel कि यार, there is some veracity to the statement these people make. So it is the population and resource control. Then financial control. I'm sure these are the people who are pulling strings behind to control कि IMF कैसे देगा, किस तरह से देगा, क्या क्या conditions रखेगा, World Bank कहाँ जा सकता है. In one of my talks with the Russians and the Chinese, they have said one of the reasons why they were creating the AIIB and the New Development Bank under BRICS is because of the extreme control that the West has over these financial institutions, the Bretton Woods institutions, despite India and China giving much more money than a lot of those countries who are there. Right? Now, a lot of people may not know IMF and World Bank may. The value of the country's share has been pre-decided. It's not 1:1. Initially, it was given as a share of the amount of money that you're giving.
Yeah.
So the value of your voting right, your vote carried that much of value. And so when you vote, it is not कि भाई 50 लोगों ने वोट किया तो 25-25 हो गया तो बराबर हो गया ना. The voting value is counted. Now, over a period of time, India and China are providing more money, but their voting value has still stayed what it was when these institutions were formed.
Wow.
And that is one of the reasons why the Chinese brought in here. And along with India and all the others, they created these banks. वो अलग issue है. China wanted to take it on its own path and create its own hierarchy. Having decided that this hierarchy is bad, what is worse is you're trying to create your own hierarchy with you at the top.
Correct.
So you're going to replicate this hierarchy with you having control of everything, which is where the pitfall is. And right at the top, you find the main controlling are the Crown Council of 13. It is headed by a Crown Council of 13. Under them comes the Committee of 300. And यहाँ पे एक और था which I missed out, Club of Rome.
That's the Committee of 300, no, sir?
Now, Committee of 300 has a new name which is called the Club of Rome. Okay. इसमें था, I thought I saw it somewhere, but I missed it out. चलो, मिल जाएगा. It is there at one place here, the Club of Rome. Anyway, so this is this a global hierarchy?
The round table above World Financial Control, the round table goal में लिखा हुआ है, on towards the left of that, the Club of Rome.
Pardon.
Powerful subfamilies, na? The heading of powerful subfamilies. You got the round table.
नहीं, इसमें Club of Rome है. नहीं, I'm talking of the right one. I missed it out somewhere. It is there, Club of Rome. I'm missing it out at the moment. But the Committee of 300, वो बीच में वो round table के साथ Club of Rome है.
हाँ जी.
Okay. And the Club of Rome is the most visible thing. Can we go to the next? The Club of Rome is the most visible thing today, and it has chapters in most countries along the globe. It also has in India. Okay, and a lot of I won't give it out here. You can Google it. India chapter, and you'll be surprised to see who all are part of it. Okay, so
36 people, right? So 36 people were there.
Yeah. Now, this was first alluded to around 91-92 in that book.
Yeah.
Now, CIA obviously would have had to release it because उनका 30-year rule होता है that after 30 years the report gets declassified. That means they kept it as a classified thing. They kept it as a classified thing whenever they found it. And is it still true? If so, who's part of the hierarchy? And main issue is who constitutes the Crown Council of 13 today? Is it still 13, or would it be more than 13, less than 13? Next.
And who are the opposition, sir? That's something that we'll have to
Yeah,
talk
we will
about.
discuss that. We'll talk about that. Now, the Club of Rome in 74 gave out this sort of a map of the globe divided into 10 kingdoms. And look at India, where all they wanted to cover.
Number
The issue is
nine.
not. So, the issue, what I feel about this is how they want that, this is how the important people will control all these regions for them. It is for them. They are at the back.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, they've given out 7 as the Arab countries, but Iran is not an Arab country. Kaun karega? Till today, they have not yet found a leader who will be able to control them, because
Yeah.
they are quite diverse. Okay. In today's day and age, will the US allow Mexico to push off into Latin America? Will they give away Mexico and even Central America as a separate entity from them? I don't think so. The kind of control they keep over Mexico and especially Central America, it's not as much. They had it earlier in Latin America, but it's not as much today. But so it's open to question. Similarly, Australia, they have given, along with South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, and all these regions. They have nothing in common. You may like to keep it to control the sea lanes, but they have nothing in common.
Anglo-Saxons?
Now, South Africa is not Anglo-Saxon, yeah.
Well, sir, but they control the game, huh?
No, no. But they're not, no. South Africans are Boers, yeah, Dutch.
Dutch.
They're not Anglo-Saxons.
Or some treaty sheety, or
Right.
I don't know.
And China, if you look at it, they have given certain portions of uh, Central Central Asia, some portions towards the eastern side, not the complete one. But India is the most fascinating.
Bharat, sir.
Complete. It is actually beyond ancient Bharat,
Ancient
because
Bharat.
you have also given even right up to Taiwan. Yeah, even Taiwan is with you. Have a look at it.
The Chinese would hate this talk, sir.
Really, I don't know. कितने ड्रिंक्स के बाद, जो भी अपना कितने भी ताकतवर हो, कितने ड्रिंक्स के बाद क्या भांग चढ़ा रखी थी when he made this, and wanting Japan to control rest of those areas, South Korea and Korea's also. But Korea's is also Japan is with Kamchatka province, but Korea he has given to Russia. So, chalo, theek hai. These are wishful thinking, but this is the game is this, to divide up the globe under certain powerful nation, create certain powerful entities who will do their bidding. The bottom line is those people who are there, who are going to control these regions for them. The aim is their dynastic wealth should continue.
Most
And
importantly,
they
if the
will
financial.
decide how. That is what is crux.
So let me ask you this: this is a financial map.
It is not exactly a financial map. This is a map who will who should control various areas for the benefit of them financially.
No, no. Control means physical or financial, sir. Because when you talk about this thing, the
Governmental
World
control. When
Economic
he talks
Forum
of
and this.
kingdoms, when he
Huh,
talks of kingdoms, it means that it is a. This is sometime circa 1974.
74.
Now this is talking of nation state which will have dominance in a region, particular region, and who would look after that region. As we talk about it, that he'll be the net security provider for that region, but he
Net
will do
security.
your bidding.
Huh.
Finance becomes part of it, but they are looking at these entities now become the net security provider in this region.
Fair enough.
But does it work? It doesn't work because geopolitics is
Hmm.
highly fluid.
Indeed,
It's
yes, sir.
highly okay. So let's look at the next one.
Could I ask you another question, sir?
Yeah,
When you look at the Arab kingdoms, which is number 7 right now, there
yeah,
is
yeah.
no mention of Israel anywhere,
No, Israel doesn't exist.
which is the Jewish kingdom, supposed
Yeah,
to be, or whatever it is, whatever they want to
no.
project it
But
as.
is
What
it
happens to
that
that?
they
That's a big
control
question.
this? Do they control it? What happens? Yes, you're very right. What happens to Israel? It's
Or is
disappeared.
it that the Israelis and the Arabs literally become okay, okay, chal theek hai.
वो तो हो ही नहीं सकता. This is made just after the maybe at that time the peace talks were on between Egypt and
This is just after
Israel.
the Yom Kippur Wars, 73.
Yeah, and that's when the talks were on between Egypt and Israel
Israel.
for a peace treaty. And Egypt at that time was the rule leader of the Arab world. After all,
Yep.
Gamal Abdel Nasser made the Arab League,
Yeah, yeah.
and Egypt was looked upon as leader of the Arab world. But much water has flown now. Yeah, Egypt is nowhere. कौन सुनता है इजिप्ट की कोई स्टैंडिंग नहीं बची अभी इजिप्ट की इन द अरब वर्ल्ड everybody is on to himself only.
Hmm.
And this is a region which is, if you leave out the Saudi area, but Yemen is also in a state of flux today. अभी थोड़ो चलो just because Arab सऊदी अरेबिया ईरान के बीच में थोड़ा डिप्लोमेटिक रिलेशंस ने दोबारा शुरू किए हैं तो वी डोंट हियर एनीथिंग अबाउट द येमेन वॉर बट इट इज स्टिल देयर
Yep.
एंड द रेस्ट ऑफ नॉर्थ अफ्रीका में तो स्यापा है ही है विद लिबिया
Libya,
इज आल्सो सुडान इज
Eritrea.
आल्सो
Hmm.
सुडान सारा सो अब हाउ दे मैनेज एंड
Actually,
इन
the
व्हाट
entire
मैनर
North Africa, from Ethiopia right across to
या
Algeria.
have to come to all these places and so at the moment what they would have made there is somebody's wishful thinking, but I don't think they had a good advisor to plot this out. And in 74 में इंदिरा गांधी थी वहां पे एंड 71 वॉर में पाकिस्तान को फाड़ के रखा था आपने तभी. Just look at those perspectives, who was where, and I would say USA was at its. Gerald Ford was there.
Yeah, yeah.
जिमी कार्टर अभी आया नहीं था. Soviet Union was still there. West Europe was West Europe where they showed too, and at that time, Turkey had already joined NATO, and Eastern Europe they are showing as part of the Russian Empire. That was Soviet Union. Russia तो अलग था ही नहीं, unless they called the Soviet Union as Russian Empire. So this 10 kingdoms may not be very accurate today, but they may still want to do something about it.
Boundaries do shift, sir. So,
Of course, boundaries shift. So they would like to do something about it in a similar manner to get people who will listen to them. That is the bottom line.
most
And
importantly,
which is where we will come
sorry.
later becomes interesting for Russia and India and China.
वो चाइना तो सर अब क्या है ना, रशिया इंडिया जहाँ आएगा वो बेचारा किसी को तो कोई तो चाहिए ना
नहीं,
बाहर खड़ा हुआ.
not listening ना. So जितना पैसा बनाना था चाइना से बना लिया. Now China is a bad guy, so they talk of de-risking, friend shoring, near shoring. Germany
Yes,
भी यार, despite all these visit and everything, Germany has taken out their latest paper yesterday and talking of
yes.
decoupling
Yeah,
to
Chinese threat.
reduce risk from China.
Yes.
So now let us look at, this is mine. I could be wrong, but this is my assessment of who the families could be. Next. So I have looked at US and European dynasties. All said and done, at the moment, uh, these are the people who have a lot of money. And I'll talk about, let us say, uh, World Bank talks of the total GDP of the world being 100 trillion. And I'll give you three asset management companies in the US which control a quarter of that. Largest is BlackRock, next is Vanguard, and third is State Street.
They own every damn thing.
Just imagine 25% of the global GDP is managed by them. So who's behind them? I don't look at the CEO and all. वो उसके पास पैसे कहाँ से आया? Each and every, you Google and read each and every one of them, whether Vanguard or BlackRock or State Secret. They are normal people who studied, joined some company, were kicked out of that company for not doing well. Okay, they were kicked out of their parent companies for making, for giving a lot of losses to them. And how come they succeeded? Who provided them the money? So you start, वो तो आज के तारीख में है, we say we have startup and seed money दे देंगे and unicorn बन जाएगा. उस जमाने में 70s 80s 70s वगैरह में स्टार्टअप्स कहाँ थे? So you come out and you start a asset management company. You're a failure. You failed in that same asset management there, and yet you have made so many trillions of dollars. थोड़ा हजम नहीं होता है मुझे यार, हजम नहीं होता. यानी एक बार गिरे और उसके बाद गिरे ही नहीं. ये नहीं है कि गिरने के बाद अब उठ नहीं सकते. आई डोंट से दैट. बट गिरने के बाद एक भी गलती किए चलते चलेंगे, ये थोड़ा हजम होना मुश्किल है. जितने भी आप बड़े कंपनियों को देख लो, यू कैन स्टडी एनी वन ऑफ देम, they have had their share of failures, but they have learned from them and gone forward. Here, one failure and no other failure ever. Now that एक दो तीन and then control a quarter of the global GDP, थोड़ा हजम नहीं होता. तो इनके बस के बात नहीं थी. Must have had some mentor, hidden mentor at the back. So when we look at US dynasties, the most famous two are right on top, Rockefeller and DuPont. Name a thing, they are there. Cargill Macmillan, one of the biggest entities in the globe in agriculture, agriculture products, seeds, the genetically modified seeds, everything. Pritzker, I don't need to say. They've had one of their ladies who was there in the cabinet of Joe Biden. Johnson, Mellon, Sackler, Hearst, Koch, and Walton. Walton is your
Walton.
Walmart.
Walmart.
The reason I put it is has a global presence. So are these there? Who are there? European dynasties, number one I have put is the Vatican. The amount of wealth that the Vatican has and where it has invested globally,
Not funny.
worldwide, I don't think any other family or dynasty can match that.
Yeah.
The number two is the Rothschild. They are quite widespread today, which they learned through the two world wars, and they have diversified all over. On paper, they have broken up into multiple families, but I don't think so. Saxe-Coburg and Gotha family, the richest dynasty in Germany, known today as the House of Windsor. And which is that family? the ruling family of Great Britain, House of Windsor. Is it any surprise that you have the Chatham House and the I2S2 there and MI6 also there in the committee of 300K table में जो दिखाया था? It's no surprise. Then you have, of course, the Schaffeler family, Wendell family, Wallenberg family, Quandt family, and the Rhineland family. A lot of them are German, Austrians, and Swiss. Okay, that's where the wealth was. The key issue is, are there any contenders from the rest of the world who joined
Y-
hands?
yes, sir.
Who from India, South Korea, Japan, Africa, Latin America, anyone who has joined them? I'm sure.
India, yes, sir. BlackRock owns, I think, 6.59% of Reliance. They own 5.4 or 6% of Ultratech, Maruti Suzuki, and one more company, Bharat Petroleum, sir.
Yeah, but I'm more interested in Reliance. And I'm sure Adani would have done some deal with them. Look at
अडानी का नहीं है ऐसा कुछ.
how quickly the Hindenburg report has just disappeared.
हाँ, वो है, but
Nobody
there's no
anywhere in the
open.
world quotes it. Okay. So somewhere within these, or maybe I may have missed some names because I took names who have multiple interests everywhere, investments. Walton is the only one, which is one of the largest retail stores that you have, Walmart. And they
I mean,
wanted to come in India, and they were ready to do the deal, I think, with the Reliance and other things. They were
yeah, they
wanting
were.
to come into India, which didn't happen. Reliance has their own chain of stores now. So, is there a funding from there? So, the Crown Council will be a close coterie from here
Yeah,
who would like to have uh, control of how the global systems work, who will abide by them so that they can earn the money. Next.
here's a comment, sir, and thanks, Mitul, for your super chat. He says,
Oh, yeah, sure, sure, sure.
Goldsmiths.
Goldsmiths. Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. That's why I said I just worked out there'll be many more who could be contenders. Yeah,
I mean,
next.
guys, this is something that we'd like you to Google yourself. For example, if you say
Yeah, work it
BlackRock,
out.
yeah, they own Pfizer. They have shares in Pfizer, Amazon, Apple. Uh, I think, yeah, Pfizer, Amazon, Apple. Then I think they also have some shares in Tesla. They have some shares in Johnson and many other places. So they've got 5, 6, 8% everywhere.
So the impact is very important. Is who are these hidden faces that control important elections, regime changes globally through various front organizations? Regime change, like I said, we talk about open society and George
Ji.
Soros, but who told him to do it? इतनी दिमाग तो उसमें थी नहीं. See, it's very interesting to read George Soros' history also. He escaped and came, right? When you escape and come up, can you carry anything with you? Nothing. Yet in UK he has, and US he has studied in the Ivy League colleges. पैसे कहाँ से आए? Who funded him? And then suddenly he gets all the money and opens Open Society Foundation. It starts with when you run away as a refugee because your people are being killed. When you run away in time of war, क्या लेके जाओगे यार? Nothing. And then you are studying in all Ivy League schools and colleges. थोड़ा मतलब there is some hidden hand behind him. वहीं से you can start working out. So where do when we say the foreign hand interference, we used to laugh at it when Indira Gandhi used to say foreign hand. Is there a truth in that?
Even Modi said this.
Yeah. There seems to be the humanitarian crisis, which I had mentioned in the third world, natural or created? Is the strife now across the world island a part of this plan to ensure continued prosperity for a few? Because after all, just few entities are making money.
So, please explain the world island for the people who don't
World
know.
island is Eurasia and Africa together. That's it. These are the landmass that are linked together. So this becomes your world island. And then you have immediate outlying islands like Japan, UK, and all. I bring it together with them. And the only outlier are the Americas, the North and South Americas, which are well away, and of course Antarctica. Antarctica, you can discount; it's unlivable. This is the only other place. Your maximum strife today is you're seeing is in the world island, yeah.
Correct.
And they want. Uh, who is egging US to pick up a fight in South China Sea? Is the US in a position? So at the end of it, the question is, does it matter who heads the key nations of the world?
Mhm.
Is this the rules-based order that we are talking of? Then whose rules and serving whom? Individuals, select nations, or a select group? Next, सोचने वाली बात है. So issues facing now, we have had a lot of anti-India flag. As on date today, there are major issues facing the anti-India front. Problem क्या है इनको? India under PM Modi is starting an independent route, strategic autonomy. If it's in my nation's interest, I'll do it. So a rising democratic India as a leader of the global south, that's what bulk of the nations of global south have agreed to you. That would threaten the council's future global hold. Yeah? 103 countries out of 193 and you are there 124. If you chart your own path, तो इनकी तो वाट लग गई ना. The resources and all come from these 123 countries. This is that debt slave which I was showing.
Yeah.
If they walk away from you, then who works? That is how China was made into, I would say, China was made into the global supply chain hub. That they worked and they did everything, and US and the West was quietly buying from them and enjoying. कि हमको ज़्यादा
Made,
काम
sir.
नहीं कर.
Keys made.
Pardon?
You didn't say China became. You said
Made.
China was made.
Made. Of course, China was made. But they don't realize the other aspect. When you read the cycle of nations, like even Machiavelli has written a book called
Yeah.
Discourses, you find that as a particular nation becomes like this, that you outsource everything, people become lazy. He's not ready to work. Now, when you say make in America, the biggest problem America is facing that they don't have trained manpower. Skilled
Yeah.
labor नहीं है जो फैक्ट्री लगाना चाहते हैं. And then you have an issue because the factory, when they put it there, they got to get skilled labor. So you have other people coming in from other countries, and you have your race riots because the local people are not getting jobs. How will they get job when they're not ready to work? You got to study to skill yourself. He's not ready to skill himself. This is the counter of what happens when you outsource your industry.
Mm.
So I feel it uses Soros, Obama, EU Parliament, the NED, National Endowment for Democracy, etc., to create an anti-India narrative to weaken India. Now the problem क्या है? There is a rising revanchist China, which is a greater threat to the current system than India. So India is not talking of changing the existing system. India is just saying existing system को strengthen करो, which should, like India has put it, the G20 में African Union has to be included. The African Union represents the entire 53, 54 nations of Africa. That's a global south. So you are asking them to readjust the existing systems, whereas China wants to create its own system. कहता तुम्हारा
Right.
system कचरा मैं ही बनाऊंगा and I'll be at the top of the heap. Now that's a direct threat to this council. So now you find that the US, the POTUS, that is the President of the United States, because he has walked away from all these people, many in EU governments feel that they need a strong India to balance China. Now that is a dichotomy that they are facing. Strong India means strategic autonomy. Indian, pardon the spelling, national interest needs to be accepted. Now, this goes against the stated aim of controlling global affairs. Now, that's a catch-22 situation they find themselves in. That's why you find more and more skeletons coming out of the cupboard. Till today, George Soros and Obama never came out in the open as anti-India as here. Even the EU president and the NATO, Jason Stoltenberg, they never came out so much. And suddenly you find that skeletons are tumbling out of the cupboard, left, right, and center. The whole linkages are coming out of the Indians who are part of this anti-India brigade and their linkages to various people. Everything is coming out into the open because of this catch-22 situation. Damned if you do and damned if you don't. And that is a very critical, because the POTUS today appears to have broken ranks with them.
Yeah.
The DOD, along with him, DOD, the Trade Department, and the number of departments like Space and everyone, they have broken ranks with them. That future यहाँ पे है, नहीं तो we are gone. And the State Department and CIA are left holding the baby. Now they don't know what to do. Similarly, you find voices of reason coming out from European Union.
France, Germany, Spain.
France, Germany, they're breaking ranks to reach out to India. And the other aspect is, as on date today, you are the only rising economy which is functioning. Everyone else is facing stagflation. I don't go by the World Bank reports of China, maybe to cover it up so that China doesn't react drastically and creates more problems for them, for the companies that are placed there. So China is facing stagflation, if not recession. You take any metric, it's facing that. The West is in doldrums. US economy is also not doing well. I was surprised, let me share with you, when I visited there, some of my daughter's friends' parents were telling me how bad it is on the West Coast. They have made it, people have lost all their jobs, home, everything. They are facing dire situation. They are giving them that small अपना pup tent type होता है ना, shelter छोटा सा zip करके. They say that thousands of them you will find lined up, go to Los Angeles, San Francisco, they're just there, open defecation.
This I've seen,
In the
yes, sir.
colleges, they are doing open defecation in their drains and they're living like that. He says you go there, you'll be shocked, you won't want to go there.
Even on Hollywood Street, where those
This is
stars
the
are there.
situation, stark situation they are facing. And especially California, he said, is very bad. From the time they have passed the law that anything stolen from the shops which is valued less than $950, they won't charge the person. They've been looting going on in shops there. People from other places have come and dumped themselves out there कि कम से कम यहाँ तो I can loot and eat. Shops have shut and there are a few shops that are open. उसका तो वीडियो भी उसने दिखाया, where they have kept their own bouncers to beat up these people when they come in. Police do nothing because less than $950 per head, you can't even charge them. And this is a law passed by the Californian government. Can you believe an idiotic law like this? This is what is happening live in US. Even in New York, in certain places, I found these in main intersections, two, three tents like this. They're living there. And when I ask the people, how do they do the morning ablutions? They just smile and walk away. Obviously, in the by-lane, they must be going and defecating in the open. तो ये हालत हो गई है, and that I am not surprised that these people, the porters and governments in Europe, are breaking ranks from this council. So the issue is, what does the council do next? So my reading is they are facing the heat. They're going to face a big problem. Because suddenly you find, after all these agreements, and now you're going to France and you've had your agreement, other than the European Parliament talking about the
Manipur.
Manipur issue,
But
you
what did they
suddenly
say?
find
They
the
didn't speak anything.
anti-India voices have suddenly gone down.
Yeah.
बिल्कुल चुप हो गए suddenly.
एकदम से
So,
तो जाएगा नहीं ना सर, वो थोड़ा टाइम लगता है वो सब सीधा होने में.
नहीं, बट अभी तो उनके निकल के नहीं आ रहे ना, कुछ कोई रिपोर्ट वगैरह निकल के नहीं आ रहा. It is not that they may have tried to weaken the hold. They would have realized that at the present moment the opposition is not there, it's in a disarray. So maybe this time around Modi would come again. So they might have been aiming for a weaker Modi, which they suddenly find that is not in the interest. The governments that be in the US and the West suddenly realize that is not in their interest. They want a strong Modi to stand up to China. And that is the catch 22 which I'm talking of, that these people are facing. My assessment, I could be wrong. And maybe the anti-India tirade may start beyond 2024 elections once again. And they may work longer to weaken the whole 2029 and beyond. Because by then they feel that China would have been hit economically quite bad by 2029. Because most
India
of the
would be in
companies
that place.
by then would have done their de-risking and everything they would have done. And China, which is facing, and now with all those idiotic laws that he is passing of having access to all the foreign companies and everything, so a lot of foreign companies are going out, not
Yeah.
permitting people who have put their FDI in their stock market and all, not permitting them to take it out, would create a major issue for him. And so they might feel that it is actually the period by 2029 China would have been relatively weakened, and after that they may not want a strong India. That's my assessment, that they would have reworked their timelines, because they are not in a hurry. These dynasties have been there for
Hundreds and
more
thousands
than
of
a
years.
century, so
Yeah.
they're not doing it in a hurry. Yeah, any questions now you have?
Yes, sir. I have two questions, sir.
Yeah,
Who's the opposition to these guys?
there
And
was no
okay,
opposition to.
let me. Sorry, I'll just retract that, guys. थोड़ा सा rewind करते हैं. Who are the new faces, public faces like George Soros and all that? And who is the opposition? Who are the opposition powerful elites sort of a thing which are building up?
See, in the US, Biden has come out in front. Trump was there, himself was there, who was not kowtowing to them. Biden has come out suddenly now as a strong opposition to these people. He is having his own mind. And you have France, that is, and there is a school of thought that because France was getting too independent, that all these riots took place. You had Germany. You're slowly getting, I'm sure Belgium and Netherlands are also coming around, that what this is, maybe they're coming around that this is not the time to go about doing what they wanting to do. You cannot weaken a group of countries when you have a third country which is coming up as a direct challenge to the existing system,
Hmm.
right? And you have, of course, India, and you had Putin. Unfortunately, they listened to these goons and went and created all the problem in Ukraine. And now they are realizing that it's not, may not have worked well, because you're pushing Putin into China's arms. Just imagine if Putin had been part of EU,
Oh,
where
he
would it
wanted to
have
be.
left China?
He wanted to be
Yeah, where would it have left China?
shivering in the corner, sir.
Okay, so maybe that this is what this is what is growing together, and you find that all the leaders of G20, and especially I would say G19 with Modi, are suddenly thinking that there is a need to curb these people for the moment. Maybe India doesn't wants to curb it permanently, but the others might feel that they want to curb it for the moment, because after all, these people, मैंने तीन ही कंपनियां बताई हैं who control 25% of your global GDP, and I'm sure rest of them who are there in the Council of 13 may be controlling almost about 50% of the GDP. That's why they do what they do, and they don't want to leave it out.
Hmm.
They would have investments all over the world in so many companies. So the problem with these is that they are looking at it for their wealth, because they have a global footprint. But it doesn't gel, it doesn't work that way. How long will it suffice? See, the only one entity which has continued throughout, that is because of the uh, religious entity that it is, the Holy See. For centuries, they have had this wealth. But the Holy See is revered, not the kings, not the wealthy dynasties. No. So there are schools of thought. So let's see. The opposition, Abhi, I think it has started simmering from the G20 nations, especially after the war in Ukraine,
So
and how badly it impacted the countries.
I'd kind of take it a little further than what you said. So I mean, I have been on off the this thing that, for example, let me just take about 30 seconds to bring out my question, sir. You mentioned France. I mean, I am a firm believer that a very dangerous ideology is being used there. That ideology, as it is bloody dangerous, it's a ticking time bomb for all of us. And then on top of it, that you have these guys using it to kind of send a message there. When you do something like that, when you come up and do something like that, that is a sense of a desperate sort of a move in the middle of one of the most powerful countries in Europe, right? When you do it in India, fair enough, we get pissed off, but at the world game, it doesn't make much of a difference, right? France does. Keeping that aside, sir, you also have a situation starting from, let's say, I would say about I would say about 2011 sort of a thing, sir, where post the 2008 crash, right, things kind of started teetering off. You had these wars, Syria, this, that, all that nonsense happened. And you find that the resistance levels to these kind of activities has grown because Putin went into Syria, pushed that back. The Kurd nonsense was happening there. That got pushed back. A lot of divisions and all that took place, and everything got sorted out there. You had the pandemic, right? Which was a very interesting time, which wanted to actually spread the global footprint of Vanguard and all these guys with Pfizer. That's the idea at the end of it. I mean, Pfizer was supposed to be the key, and we know the way they lobbied around the
Even
place.
no, they had balanced themselves. Even they have stakes in AstraZeneca also. By the way,
ठीक है नहीं ठीक है that's I mean we know we are only realizing this stuff now. I mean we can start
yeah, in
shouting and
hindsight.
saying, this is hindsight. So you had that Afghanistan retreat by saying pivot to Asia hona hai, ye hona hai, wo hona hai, and all that stuff. And then you went into Ukraine, thinking that what will you do? You'll basically weaken Europe. You'll get the control of the world economy, which is kind of teetering here and there by re-showcasing the power of the dollar. Little realizing that you've crossed a line already, right? Now, I say these two, 3 points which have happened have actually weakened the control. So they are unnecessary risks that were taken by this system to, I would say, yeah, let's do it, yaar, kya farak padega? That casual attitude sort of a thing. Because Ukraine is a misfit. Ukraine doesn't fit into the picture anyway. And the reason I'm saying it's a misfit is because this is what is breaking their backs, because they didn't think about what will happen here.
You see, you have a point what you're saying, but I'll give it a slightly different twist. Whatever happened in these regions, and especially with COVID, these Council of 13 made a ton of money
Oh yeah,
because a lot of them also have their stakes in the military industrial complex. The rationale, my take on the rationale for the Ukraine war was to curb Putin's power. Because Putin
Putin's.
stepped in into Syria. Putin's power. It was to curb Putin's power. They almost won in Syria,
Yeah,
but for Putin's move with those missiles, which destroyed their complete plan in Syria in one stroke.
it's an anger response to that, sir.
Yes, because the Putin was not part of their game, no? So
Yeah, that was
they
he was a wild card.
and so they actually miscalculated. You're right in that, but they felt that this chap had to be done, and that is why all sorts of sanctions and other things were placed on him and his oligarchs. But just imagine his oligarchs who were outside in Europe, they dropped all those which were sanctioned and went into the other line, and today they have 3 or 4 times the money that they had, which has been frozen. The bank accounts got frozen, so diversified into other interests, and they hold more 3 to 4 times the money than what they held before when they were. So yes, Ukraine has become a noose around their neck where their miscalculation has been enormous. Except for those members who have interests in the military industrial complex, nobody is making money. And by putting a cap on the oil, Russian oil, the price has not shot up. They're not making money, all those who are into the oil. And Saudis and OPEC are not towing their line.
That's what you've taken you didn't calculate, you didn't war game this through that
You
in
don't think
case
that these,
you didn't.
because they still felt that they have the control. Little realizing it doesn't happen like this geopolitically. And whatever decisions you make has to be alive to the geopolitical flux around.
True.
And आप कुछ नहीं कर पाए. Mohammed bin Salman is now virtually the head of Saudi Arabia. You were not talking to Mohammed bin Zayed. Now he is the head of UAE. Now, what do? You're not ready to bring them into the coterie, and they're not ready to listen to you. And you have a rising and a strong India, which the world needs to be able to survive,
Balance
get
out,
back from.
survive. Yeah. Hmm.
I'm just saying to survive. Even the West, where they have whole lot of interest, needs. So these people also need a strong India and economically rising India to survive. And for that, you need a strong central government. And that is the catch 22 they have
You
with the
have to put
VP.
your stake somewhere, na sir. Money doesn't grow in sitting
हाँ
in
ना.
your locker.
अब अगर if you, let us say hypothetically, you create a weaker India, पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे तुम्हें?
वही ना, बनता नहीं है ना सर. It doesn't make
नहीं
sense.
बनता. And now you have a strong India, strategic autonomy, global south is ready to listen to you. Those were the debt slaves who were supposed to work for them. At phase 1, Adani has brought in the African Union there.
Now India is saying
I'm sure
FTA
phase
करेंगे
2,
पूरा African Union के साथ, we will do FTA.
yeah.
Bloody hell.
And then I'm sure in next phase he will get in the Latin American Union also inside.
Yeah.
So now you're finding it's very interesting. You must read this book, Discourses. This is in the global level something which is happening, where he says that you have the oligarchy or diarchy or a emperor controlling everything, which is this Council of 13, which was there. Abhi jo bhi council hai, wanting to control the global empire what they have. Then comes a period of time when there are other royalties and others who start coming in to get a stake into the governance. And then the plebeians rise. And then you become a republic. So you have the plebeians, you have the Senate, and you have the aristocracy. 3 levels. So we take them as the aristocracy. The Senate is the next level of the rulers. You can take US, West, and other prominent rulers. And the plebeians are the global south. Now, global south has a voice. So, ये मतलब you can link it there and see कि किस तरह से ये चल रहा है. But it is not exactly like that. What happens thereafter to them? How much say will they continue to have? When the empires were there, when you see that Committee of 300 during the British times and during the अपना Dutch East India Company, British East India Company, empires they, yes, you controlled the whole of the globe. To expect in a similar way to control your footprints in a globe where there is rising aspirations, when you have such easy connectivity and information sharing which is going on as it is going on now, maybe 70s 80s mein hota hoga, but in this 21st century it becomes very difficult.
Which is why I find Elon Musk to be a very interesting person, sir.
He is the joker in the pack for them.
Yeah. Now I don't know which side he's going to fall, but
Yeah, the
till
moment
now
he's
he's been
charting
very
an
interesting.
independent path,
Yeah.
he is doing strategic autonomy at his business level.
मोदी साहब से सीखा है उसने. सर थोड़े सवाल जवाब कर लेते हैं. There are loads of questions, so we'll just kind of run through them. Guys, सबसे पहले तो यार 350 360 people are here. यार like शाइक डाल दो यार. How many likes are there right now? Let me check. 122. We can do better than that. Come on, guys. Let's hit 200 before the first two questions are done. Please, my request to all of you. Press the like button. Trust you me and General Sir have been talking about this thing for sir कितने हो 2-3 हफ्ते हो गए. We've been talking about this.
Ever since you shared that
So,
document with me.
it's been 3 weeks that we've been talking about this thing, and literally sometimes we have hour-long conversations just trying to rack brains ki yaar kya hai, what is the game. So sometimes sir will research, मैं थोड़ा बहुत अपनी अकल लगा लेता हूँ जितनी है. But this is something that we've been doing for a while. So let me assure you, each one of these shows that we do is not just बैठ के बात कर रहे हैं, वो अलग है. This is a lot of depth research. Both of us have read two books now. ठीक है? And me being a little slow, I have to read those two books twice. So, and that's how I do it. But uh, there's a lot of back end research that happens. So please just the least like the video. Subscribe, of course. 28,000 plus in climbing. I hope we close into a 30,000 round by the end of July. So that will be a great thing for all of us. And on that time, I would plan a little bit of a show where we'll get some more people on the screen and we'll just have a chat like that. And of course, yes, you guys can contribute to the Dev Talks efforts. The QR code is up there. It's a bit bigger than before, just so that you can see. A lot of people did complain about that. And you can send us a super sticker or a super chat. Join as a member as well. Thank you so much. Mitul, thank you so much for your super chat once again. All the AMFs across invest to hide the real owners, asset management firms. Sir.
Of course. The whole issue is that's why I raised this point of Vanguard and all the others. They're not the main players there. Actual people are behind.
ये थोड़ा सा जबरदस्त सा कमेंट है. JB थैंक यू सो मच. जनरल सर, सीक्रेट पार्क कंट्रोलिंग कमिटी ऑफ 300 काउंसिलर 13 क्लब ऑफ रोम 10 किंगडम्स इज यू सर, द मैन हू नोस ऑल द सीक्रेट्स.
जेबी सर,
पकड़ लिया आपको
मैं
इसने.
कौन कहाँ यार.
पकड़ लिया सर आपको. अब तो पकड़े गए. The Bilderberg Group, Opus Dei, are known to support political factions in various nation states. Yes, sir.
There are many such groups you will find who are there. The moment you say Opus Dei, it goes links to the Holy See.
Hey, see, that's again, a lot of people would take it as. I want to clarify this, and actually, I like your opinion also, sir, since we've spoken about just 30 seconds. When you talk about the Holy See, it is the institution rather than the religion. Let's make
Yeah,
that very clear, right? So, a lot of people put it as religion. No,
no.
no, no, no. They fought over that thing over the past 2,000 years multiple times on what the religion should be. But it's the institution of the Vatican that is what we are talking about.
The
So,
continuity is the Vatican. The people keep changing.
yeah.
The popes change, the 12 cardinals change, everything changes. But the Holy See, the Vatican,
Hmm.
is the permanent entity. And because of the pope and the cardinals who are revered in the Catholic world, what actions they take is hidden and people are afraid to touch them and talk about them. That is their defense that they get. But if you read about the Holy See, you will find that there have been some popes who tried to investigate and who were eliminated. And the elimination was covered up.
For the first time, one Pope resigned, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So there are issues in the Holy See. And the kind of money from where they have got the money is also an issue which is
Yeah, yeah.
being debated a lot.
The
And
Odessa plan.
that they, no, no. Especially it came into prominence during Second World War, where they sided with Mussolini and Hitler.
Hitler. The Odessa plan,
Initially,
sir. Today, the Ukraine, that port of Odessa,
yeah.
is very famous for all this,
So there is a so it is the Holy See. There is nothing against the Pope and the Cardinal.
sir.
There
Sir.
must be someone there who has a continuity in the Holy See and who picks his successor very carefully. So
True.
it's not the cardinals, it's not the Pope. There used to be a time when the popes used to fight and they used to have their uh, armada and their armies and kingdoms and everything. They used to be there. And if you read it, there's Spada, I think, if I don't forget. There's a lot of controversial figures who have been there. But after the 30-year war in the 18th century, everything ceased.
So,
And the Pope was given the Vatican. In fact, read Garibaldi's history of when he was trying to fight, and he was fighting with various people, especially the Victor Emmanuel of Italy, who was the king of Sardinia, siding with him to unite all the principalities and kingdom of Italy. All made sure that he didn't touch the Vatican. He
correct, sir.
wanted. He was born a Catholic, but he became a atheist, and he wanted to attack Rome so many times. At that time, the Vatican controlled Rome, and he was not given the permission. The French used to defend there, the Austrians used to defend there, come there and defend. And it's very fascinating when you read,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
finally, how Rome became the capital of unified Italy.
So, Mr. Arun, thank you so much for your super sticker. He says, "What does it take India to take on the Vatican?" Wow,
Why
why?
should we take on the Vatican? We are Sanuki. We have to make sure that they are not doing anything to interfere with us. That's it. Sanuki, yaar, he is so far away. मेरे को क्या लेना देना? If somebody has to take on the Vatican and do something, let the Europeans decide it.
Apart from that, guys, before I take on the next question, I'm going to be linking General Rajiv's book right underneath. It's called The Dragon's Bite. It's about the PLA's history, geography, civics, and economics as well, by the way. Read this book. It's an eye opener. Trust you me.
It's about how they fight.
Yeah, it's about how
What
they
is the
fight, how they were made, how they be, how they. I would actually take it a little forward in terms of their thought processes as well. You've actually brought about quite interesting points of that. So please, check this book out. It's available on Amazon as well. You can just type Amazon The Dragon's Bite. You'll be able to get it. It's actually running at the number two spot with regards to geopolitics books on Amazon today. So get your copies, man, before it
It's
sells out.
also available on Flipkart, if I may.
Acha, fantastic.
Flipkart.
So a lot of people have mentioned that audio version aana chahiye. So whenever I think
किसका?
somebody's doing it, right? Audio version, sir. Audiobook.
Audiobook. I have not asked the publisher as yet. Yeah, audiobook
Mhm.
banana. Audiobook will come on demand.
So Alpha Jam 26 asked this Rockefeller tried population control in 70s and the 80s.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Mandar says the Crown Council today is known as the table today. Mandar, nice to see you back, man, after a while.
Yeah, thank you. They may change the name. Obviously, the Crown Council, it was olden days, empires were there, so they used to call the Crown Council. They would not like to draw attention to the various royal families which I've showed you, and especially led by the House of Windsor. So yeah, they could call it the table, the high table. If you see इसका कियानू रीव्स का वो क्या है जॉन विक
John Wick.
high
Huh?
table, he calls it the high table. So it could be called anything. Yeah, table.
Guys, I am just putting the Amazon link in the comments, and it is the starred comment. So if any of you wants to check it out, please do that. Right, let's move forward. Alpha, this is an interesting comment. He says, "Tell me if I'm wrong. 2008, two asset management companies were formed with 20 trillion in assets, which holds significant stake in every company in the world."
See, the issue is like I told you about BlackRock and Vanguard and State Secret. It's not the asset management company. Here we are identifying who could be behind them. Like if you had a huge crash in 2008, where did the funds come for these asset management companies to invest? That is the question to be asked. Not that they control 20 trillion. Where did this come from to be able to control that? पैसे कहाँ से आए?
पैसे कहाँ से आए?
It's the money trail.
Two questions on the 10 kingdoms. They look like buffer regions akin to the buffer state strategy, geographically separate each other in a way, isolate easy access. Your thoughts, sir. And the second question says Russia has full control of Eastern Europe, including Ukraine, Turkey, part of Europe. Stark contradiction to Mackinder's heartland theory. Deep state internal contradictions.
Oh, I'll take this Girish's question first. No, when we say, I told you also, when we say these are the groupings or empires that they're talking of, they'll have their people in charge in these
Yeah.
places to control that area. So ultimately, they would control. So if Russia controls the heartland, and it is their man there who is in Russia who abides by what they are saying, they control the heartland.
Ji.
The other aspect is the buffers are not there. Like the Kingdom of India runs up to Afghanistan, and beyond that starts the Arab kingdom. Above that is the Russian kingdom. Above that is the Chinese kingdom. And we are going right up to Formosa, and there is the Far East kingdom with the Japanese. And where the Arab and Israel, we don't know what happens to Israel. That kingdom is finished. It hits the European kingdom. So buffer, I didn't get it because they're not wanting these people to fight. This is what is the woke liberalism all about. That these would be empires, but with, please remember, empires had no boundaries, borders. They had frontiers, which was open. So you could just travel anywhere you wanted. So when he speaks of empires, he speaks of no borders. It's open travel everywhere. So a person can go to X, Y, or Z place whenever he wants to. And that is what is the liberal wokeism wanting to evoke today.
Individuality and no collective
No
nationalism.
collective this thing and no borders, just open. You go everywhere and you're an individual. There's no family, there's no culture, there is
Yeah.
nothing. Okay, so here that is the issue.
Buffer, sir.
Yeah, that's what I said. There is no buffer.
Mm.
It's open. Like I was saying that when you say empire, there are no borders. Empires had frontiers. A frontier is open.
Correct.
I can go anywhere. I can shift from here to that place. There is no check ki whether you're going there, coming here, क्या है, नहीं है. A frontier का मतलब होता है अगर मैं, if I am strong at my frontier and I can dominate your frontier, I'll take tax from there. That was what empires at that time used to do. Here they are looking at empires with no boundaries. No? It is frontier. So you're free to move wherever you have to move. So you don't need a buffer. Buffer for what? Buffer is required if it is going to be antagonistic. Then you have buffer.
Why was Rothschild in Pakistan, sir?
Your guess is as good as mine. Would have gone to talk to them. Ki karna kya hai? I think he must have gone to tell them that buddy, you need to be the buffer for India now from Afghanistan.
We called
Boot
it
is
on
now
this
on
channel, sir. We
हाँ,
called
boot
that
is
on
now
this
on
channel.
the boot is now on the other foot ना अब रो रहा है अफगानिस्तान को बोल रहा है कि
सर
रोको
बेस्ट इज जब हमने बात करी थी उसके बाद मैंने जनरल दुष्यंत साहब के साथ भी बात करी थी बड़े लोगों ने बोला तो बड़ी बेवकूफी की बात कर रहा है यार क्या है बड़ा लॉन्ग है होगा इट विल हैपन now you can call us a hidden secret from the committee of 300 or we are 300 301 and 1.5 year but that's a different story but hoga
अपन
so
ने
I'm
बात
quite
की थी गिलगिट बाल्टिस्तान की ट्विटर इज ऑलरेडी शोइंग गिलगिट बाल्टिस्तान एज पार्ट ऑफ इंडिया
क्यों क्या मिलता है उसको
बस यानी
हम
पाकिस्तान इज बीइंग टोल्ड थैंक यू यू डन योर बिट नाउ वी हैव अ बेटर पर्सन टू टेक इट
figure it
फॉरवर्ड
out why is Portus broken ranks
because Mandar, good question. See, Porthos has broken ranks because he suddenly realizes the importance of India. He has sided with Department of Defense that he wants a strong India for Indo-Pacific. The future of the world as on date today आगे 10 15 साल 20 साल बाद कहाँ जाएगा पता नहीं. As on date today is in the Indo-Pacific.
So,
The dramatic changes are going to come here. The threat to the existing system is coming from here, from China. And the only country in this region has stood up to it and can stand up to it and needs to be strengthened is India, which these people were wanting to weaken, and State Department was at it. So State Department, like I said earlier in the show with Aadi, that State Department अब sideline हो गया है. It's all alone, and CIA is becoming a question mark because all these fronts, a lot of them are funded by the CIA. So now suddenly you find that CIA and State Department don't know what to do, and POTUS ka change you can make out from Nancy Pelosi's visit.
yeah,
उसके पहले he used to make a lot of statements and then U-turns हो जाते थे when there used to be a lot of pressure from the media, and his press people used to come out, press secretaries, and then they would try to cover up for what he said. State Department was not keen for Nancy Pelosi's visit, but Nancy Pelosi went and they called the bluff. Xi Jinping had screamed blue murder, I'll blow out the aircraft, ये वो क्या किया कुछ नहीं. He could do nothing. And from there, it happened that there were entities, people in his cabinet who were reporting to Obama. And some of them's visits to the White House were not recorded. And suddenly, after these visits, slowly, by the end of last year and beginning this year, these 2-3 people have been booted out of his cabinet. And he is not listening to Obama. And that is the reason you find Obama had to come out in the open for an anti-India and anti-Modi stance when he is visiting as a state guest. Can you imagine? You've invited him as a state guest. Both houses of the Congress, his joint address is going to give. And Mr. Obama comes out with a known anti-India baiter in CNN to talk anti-India and anti-Modi. And it died its death. Because when your one department has been left in the lurch and all the other departments have got together for doing all these arrangements and agreements with India, you suddenly find. That is the reason why he had to be strong to be able to do these agreements with India. And so he broke ranks with them. And along with that, he has thrown his hat in the ring now and said, I'm standing a second time, which goes against Hillary Clinton wanted to do it. There was a talk of Michelle Obama also wanting to stand. Now suddenly both of them have cold feet. Because this agreement with India is going to generate a lot of jobs in the US. And so now they have to take a call that who can come back again. How do they disrupt the Republicans? Already it is disrupted, I would say. God knows how many people have thrown their hat in the ring and how many more will come. So that is the reason.
Arun, thank you so much for your contribution. He says Vatican will continue troubling India as long as they have the money. Their goal is to control through the conversion until their mission. Until then, the mission is on.
Mission will always be on. It is how you and I are able to manage them within us, within this region, within India is more important. Disruptions will be there. See, the proselytizing is part of these two religions by the book. Right? It is for you and me to educate our people to be able to see through this. They go for the weaker sections of your society, target them with money for their survival. So they convert so that they are able to live day to day. And that is the push I have always felt, that whatever reservations, whatever concessions you want to give, has to be not by caste, creed, or anything. It has to be through your economy. It should be to the economically weaker section of the society, whoever they are. Only economically weaker section of the society. So repeatedly, the same set of people will and families will not be able to take these reservations. Classic case I always give is Tina Dabbi. Her grandfather was in ICS, her father is IAS. She is now supposed to be topper in the IAS. I don't take that. She applied, she gave her prelims as general cadre and she failed. Then she applied the OBC, the SC/ST cadre, the reservation she took. And then because she threw that reservation cadre and she was able to do it in between because her dad was in the IAS, is in the IAS. Now she threw that card, so 33%, so she passed. And then you say she is a topper? मीन कंपार्टमेंट में कहीं ना, जनरल कार्डर में तो फेल हो गई थी, ओबीसी का लगाया है, ओबीसी एससी एसटी का रिजर्वेशन लगा के आप आए हो तो कंपार्टमेंट में आए हो ना, कंपार्टमेंट में आए तो आप टॉपर कैसे हो गए यार? मेंस में आ गए और टॉपर बोल दिया उसको. Why 3 generations? If a grandfather is there and father is also there, she should be in general cadre. She is not economically weak. Why the hell does she raise a reservation for? She has the best of the education that is available. And then she has failed. That means she is not competent. अब आप उसको ग्लोरीफाई कर रहे हो मीडिया में अभी भी कि टॉपर है, उसकी बहन ने भी पास कर लिया. आई एम श्योर द सिस्टर आल्सो वुड हैव टेकन इमीडिएटली दिस रिजर्वेशन कार्डर एंड कम थ्रू. So the moment you put economically weaker section of the society, what happens? First, maybe the second, उसके बाद उस खानदान को नहीं मिलेगा reservation because they are no longer economically weak. People don't look at it from this angle.
Who's behind Biden really running the show?
I think Elon Musk.
Well, that's quite a this thing, sir.
Could be.
How US and Europe they deal with each other. Obama government, all Muslims gone into Europe. Well, there's multiple reasons for that.
You know, it's not just because of Obama. There's also something known as guilt conscious. आपने खोला ना, लिबिया में कोई प्रॉब्लम तो था नहीं. Who went along with the Americans into Libya?
We came,
Syria में
we
कोई प्रॉब्लम
saw,
था?
he died. You know this dialogue by Hillary, right?
Yes. So you look at Syria. क्या हो रहा था? कुछ किया था उन्होंने? Was he a problem for the global peace? So who went with Americans there?
Yeah.
Who went with Americans into Iraq? So there is something known as guilt conscience.
True. Janasa is bang on. Only India under Modi can be an asset for the West against China. They will be shooting themselves in the foot by attacking PM Modi and weakening him. Hope they realize fast. They have, trust me, read the Hill and everything like that.
Venkat sir, thank you. I think they have, but my worry is not this election. I'm talking of 2029
The
election.
next one. Amulya says, why don't India take an initiative and make Bodh Gaya headquarters of ASEAN? It can be a huge unifying factor to counter China and improve the standing of India in geopolitical scenario.
Amulya Sinha sir, I would recommend a book written by, I think, Andrew Hall, China's Asian Dream.
Asian Dream.
Around 2017 की कुछ का publication है. It's easier said than done. China works by smaller countries through geo-economic coercion. They invest a lot of money till they control at least 12 or more, at least more than 12% of the GDP through their investment. And the threat is to pull out the investment. So the economy collapses. No country in the world can take a hit of a double-digit hit on their GDP. It becomes an issue. That is how they control the ASEAN. ASEAN today is defunct. as per in my opinion. The only country people keep talking of centrality of ASEAN, I have said for IP in Indo-Pacific region, it is centrality of Indonesia. I'm not interested in Malaysia and other countries. They have nothing to do. They have nothing to offer. They have not offered anything to us, and there will be nothing to offer.
Is Ukraine is Ukraine is Ukraine is well pre-planned. That's why Bill Gates bought huge amount of agricultural land in USA. He knew the
Pre-planned,
land is going to
all
go there.
pre-planned.
Absolutely, that's a good
What
point.
did
Yeah, I must
Angela
say.
Merkel say about the Minsk agreement?
Yeah,
2014, the Minsk agreement was signed. They said they were not keen to, they were not ever going to implement it. They only wanted to strengthen Ukraine. For what? They knew that attack aega.
Batra sir says even Hitler wanted to take on Rockefeller and Rothschild. Well, he
Rothschild
didn't.
को तो take on कर लिया था. Rockefeller is too big a person. He was in USA. Rothschild, yes, because they were in Europe and other places. They shifted to you. They diversified and shifted, and they pushed out to other countries. Maximum location where they shifted their money was UK.
So, second last question, sir. So we see intelligence agencies in other countries have small propaganda wing which runs media channels. Even social media platforms are controlled. We need to give raw more powers.
Who will make the narrative war? Do the social media platforms or the medias run the narrative? Who creates this narrative? Who builds around all this?
Yeah.
वो सोचो पहले. R&AW, are they trained enough? Or even in these media and all these, do you think they are trained enough? Who are there in your media? Max have done English literature and media communication. That doesn't give them the training to conduct a media warfare, or what we call the information warfare. You require specialists behind who will be telling them. Who will be telling those specialists कि क्या narrative बनाना है? It's not so simple and direct, sir.
Mitul, once again, thank you so much for your contribution. He says, is Modi a threat or an ally?
That's the whole problem, catch 22, which I said.
फंस गया है.
It's a threat to them because the control becomes a bit difficult because of strategic autonomy and him leading the debt slaves, the triangle where they had shown the debt slaves, which is the global south where we are.
Yes, sir. I
But they
just
need
want
him
to.
as an ally to counter China, who is going to change the way the whole world works, and he's a direct threat to their hold.
I just want to address this, sir. How can India maintain a civilization value system? What should be the action taken, and how best to defeat? Guys, I sir had done this show about 2 months ago with me. Just go to my search bar and type Bharat, right? You'll be able to get this
Because
show
see,
with sir and
sir,
me.
we keep talking about search of identity in Pakistan. I'm sorry, there is a search of identity for us also. Are you a Bharatiya? Are you a Hindustani? Or are you an Indian? Go and watch the show. I have clarified each and everything. Unless you get back to your Bharatiyata, getting back to your values and culture system is becoming a Bharatiya back again. Indianization and Hindustanization is breaking you from your culture. All this rotten talk of Ganga Jamuna Tehzeeb is all nonsense.
Yeah.
I'm openly, publicly stating, as far as I am concerned, it is nonsense. There is nothing called Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb. Sorry. That is the Bharatiya culture. आपके आने के बाद ये गंगा जमुनी तहसीब करके कुछ नहीं आया है. Okay. This was already there thousands and thousands of years before. That is our culture, Bharatiyata, which is entirely secular in nature, as long as you take the Matrubhumi, Bharat Mata, as your country and you do things in the interest of the country.
Nation first. बाकी जो मर्जी
The
करना है करना.
moment you start taking orders from outside, whether it be from some spiritual power outside, or you talk of like the one of them uses the word Ummah, I'm sorry. Then you're not for Bharat. Then you are there for some other power. Then you are not a Bharatiya. And as far as I am concerned, such people cannot be citizens of Bharat. Simple and straight.
Absolutely. On that note, sir, eye-opening show. I must say, this is people are going to say that a lot of people have said there's just so many comments. I can't possibly go through so many questions. I would love to, but I can't. It's something very very enlightening to see so many people. We and by the way, I had said 200 likes. We are at 241 likes. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you so much. Thank you so
You
much.
know, I must
Thank
say,
you.
sir, I've noticed other channels. A lot of people say like, Shaik, this, that, ye, wo, but hote nahi hai. But the audience that comes to Dev Talks, they are wonderfully gracious. When I
And
say like, they
people
always,
give some pointed questions and their views also.
yes, sir.
It's amazing.
I'm grateful, sir, that we've had this discussion. And guys, please keep this as a baseline, right? Geopolitics is going to get interesting going forward. Look what's happening right now. We'll keep this as a baseline for every discussion. We will refer this discussion in many other places, and possibly, if we find some more details, if we dig out some more stuff, we will do another session on this. But
Sure.
keep this as a baseline for future geopolitical discussions because you'll be able to understand things a little more. Now, you can keep pointing fingers, secret society. There's nothing secret about this, guys. It's a bunch of people who have a lot of money who control. That's it. It's the same thing that happens in India, same thing that happens in the world.
See, all you got to do, like what we talk of terrorism, money trail. So when you look at these big asset management companies who control so
Just
many
dig back.
trillions of dollars, money trail, where have they got the money from? Who's behind them? If you can catch that trail, you will know who are the big players who are trying to pull strings in the manner that they want. They are not
Absolutely.
interested in the uh, happiness of the people around. No, they are only interested in filling their coffers.
All I can say is, sir, thank you very much and Jai Hind.
Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Jai Bharat.